Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode with E-learningobsess. Today we'll be trying to obtain a small square of Tunisian knitting. So I'm going to be doing this with these two beautiful colors, and at the same time we'll try and obtain the simple chain double crochet stitch. This is how it looks like. So the Tunisian knitting looks like this on the front and looks like that at the back. So first things first, as always, knit is the needle, the most important part of knitting. The thread, any color of your choice. I'm using two different colors to make it look more beautiful. At this point, I am going to use the blue one first to obtain this space. I will do a slip stitch like this. Every work you do, you always have to do a slip stitch. So it's a circle, put the yarn and pull it over like that. I put my needle, I'm using a size 4mm needle. So with this one, because I'm doing a very small one, I'm going to just chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, this is the foundation chain I spoke about at one episode that you always need it for everything you're doing. So this is how your 5 looks like on both sides. 5 chains, 6. At this point, I'll be working with this front pieces right here. So I'm going to pick 1, just do yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So basically this is how your work looks like at the very first stage. I picked up through all the holes, all the foundation chains I've picked up through it, and now I'm going to be doing backward stitches. I'll pick up the yarn, I'll pull through the first one, I'll have 2 to go. I'll pick up the yarn, pull through the second one, I'll have 2 to go. Pick up the yarn, pull through the third one, pick up the yarn, pull through the fourth one, pick up the yarn, pull through the fifth one, pick up the yarn, pull through the last one. You see, this is how our work looks like at the first stage of it, very closely. And I'll always have it in my hand. For the second stage, for it to have these wavings here like this, I'll be working in between this space. The space is there. So instead of me picking just the front post, I won't be doing that. I'll be working in between. So my needle goes through like this. I'll pick up the yarn out. I'll do it one more time in between this space. So my needle goes in like there and out. So I'll carry on doing this, picking up in between these two loops. In between these two loops. And in the very last one, I'll do the same thing. I'll pick up in between there. You have to make sure that you always have it quite tense, so that you shouldn't end up with a very funny looking work. And I'm yarn over, pulling backward, yarn over, pulling backward, yarn over, backward. So if you see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this point. This is how my work looks like. Now this is the second stage of the work. Line number 3, the same thing. I'll pick up my yarn there, pick up my yarn in there, 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 and the very last one in this last space right there. This is how your work lies. I'll pick up my yarn, pull backward, yarn backward, yarn backward, yarn backward, yarn backward, backward. So this is line number 3. You can see it's really having these waves at this bottom here, like in the red one there. It's having the waves there, and the back looks like this. like that. So I'll carry on. I need to carry on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so that it forms the first square, this first square, and I'll get back to you. We are now back at the last stage of the Tunisian knitting pattern, whereby I just go backward. So now you can see I did 5 at the foundation chain, 5 going up, and this is our first square form. At this point of this square, we won't just leave it like this. We'll have to slip stitch inside before we attach the next thread. What we do is we put the yarn inward, pull through 2 to close it in, inward through 2. So you're always putting the yarn through the 2 sides for it to come out looking like a knitting stitch. Inward, pull through 2, in, through 2, and the very last one in this space. Never forget, look, we're working on these lines here. Very last one is in here, not up here of the work. So you put it in there, pull it out, and you pull through 2. So this page was finished at the first square. This first square represents this first block right here. So it's this first block that we've done. So now we'll try and do the second block, this one and this one. So with this work, you work from one angle going up, not the next one there. I'll show you what I mean. At this point, I will finish the first square. We will use a different color yarn to attach it there, so you see exactly what I mean. You always have to slip stitch the thread like this. All these ends that you have, you come and tuck them in with the needle at the end of the work. So this is where you insert for the second square, in between this place, yeah, and this place. You put the new thread, you attach your new thread, pull it through, and it is secured on both sides. So here I'm going to chain 5 because I'm doing the next block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the tricky bit. Here you have to work this yarn into this space right here, into this space, into this space, into this space, into this space. That's how you attach your work. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I pick up the yarn. 1, 2, 3, 5, and the very last one you put it in here in this place. So this is to attach your work very close to each other. That's why I always like the stitch. People call it interlace, or you can call it Tunisia pattern. But I love to call it the Tunisian knitting because it comes out as if you're using 2 needles, but which you're using just 1. If you see right where I'm putting my work, it's in between these spaces that I showed you. There. 1, backward, 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 backward. You see it's getting attached to the work and it's forming the same pattern. So I'm going to carry on one more time. 1, always work in between the space. 2, 3, and you see the next one goes in here. So at each time you're doing the next line, you go up to the next space up, you pick from there, and then you just go backward, backward, in between the space. One more time, and in the space allocated there, not this one, not the same one, but the next one allocated there. And you go backward, 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 backward. So I'll carry on doing this till I reach the top, and I'll join you to the next one. So right now here I am at the top of this work. If you see that close together, exactly like these two, so it's close together. What we are going to try and obtain is this side. So I'll show you what to do. At this point, we are going to be doing, pick up the yarn, like half double crochet, just half double crochets, like that. So while closing, I'm moving on to the next strip of work without having to cut the thread at each stage. At this point that there's a hole here, you slip stitch in there, and now you can start the next one. The next one you'll be working is in between the spaces here. So this is your first work. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and the very last one will be in here. 5. At this point, I'll be pulling through 2 yarn instead of 1. The very blue one at the beginning and this one, so it closes it in and secures it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, I'm carrying on to the next stage, that's right up. I'm just going to repeat this one more time for you to see. Working in between the yarns. So I'm going to carry on do this 5 more times, and I'll close it up and I'll get back to you to that point to do the foot square. So that's 1, 2, 3, exactly like this one. 1, 2, 3, and I'll show you how to get the foot and the last square. Welcome back to the final square of the Tunisian crochet pattern. If you see, I got my threads all over the place. So at this point, because we're going to repeat the same blue at this space, we're going to cut the thread off with the scissors. And even here we can cut it off because we're going to tuck it in. Before we cut it off, we'll do a slip stitch to secure the thread not unraveling. I'll pull over. Now you see this is your square. So I am going to do this box here. So this is where we'll work for the last square. We're going to pick up the box there. You will see we've done 3 of your work, looking exactly like this one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll have 1 more to do, and exactly on the back that way. So we've got 1 more square. We'll have 2 blues and 2 black blues. Just 2. There's 2. So to obtain the very last square before we tuck everything in with the thread, will be right here. In this very space here. This is where the final yarn goes in. And to do our final yarn, we use the same blue we had earlier on. We'll do a slip stitch like that, circle, and I always wrap my yarn on my hand to get the tension right. I put it through the needle at the back, always working at the back. Pick up a yarn, pull through, and you can see this slip stitch you see here. I'll pull it through to close the work in. So my work is secured at the back and I can start working. So what I do, I pick up my yarns here. Three, 4, 5, and at this point, this is where we work again. Working on this very post, this ones here, all this front post you can see. We'll put the yarn there. I'll pull it out. Yarn over 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Next stitch in between the posts, 1, 2, and at this point again we are working right here on the next posts there. One more time, in between, yeah, yeah, in between the posts, and at this point, yeah. The more you do this, by the time you're doing this stage, you'll be able to understand that a lot more of it. You'll be able to see the front poses where you can work on. If I pick up on the front poses, the work will completely look different. But when I pick in between the poses, the crochet poses I'm making, they look like a knitting work. There, those are 4 squares on there. In between the work, in between the work, in between, and there. Backward, 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 backward. One more time, in between, in between, in between, in between, and the very last one there, and backward. Pick up the yarn backward, 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 backward. So this is our work looking like this. The 4 squares done. If you were doing a baby blanket or an increasing stage, we'll be picking the post from here and increasing. But this is a square that we're doing, and I love this pattern because it's very warm and airtight. As you can see, there's no space in between. Very warm and airtight, so you can use it for anything, even a throw or a scarf. So thanks for watching on E-learning. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you. Bye.